Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you to another consulting class. Before I get started today, because this section and the other section will share resources and collaborate, I actually made a mistake in the assignment I posted 1 hour ago. So I think I've already removed it because the way they want to handle mock consulting in the other section. I think the instructor peer the students because the mock consulting involve peering. So what I'm going to do is immediately after this class, I need you to uh, send me a message about the person you actually want to pair with. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to be I wanted to make a connection, and that's why my own is different. So you are going to pair with somebody in the mock consulting, okay? So in the mock consulting assignment, you're actually going to pair with somebody. But what I need from you, okay, is um after today or maybe after the class, I think I'll put a message on the canvas too on the announcement section. You know, you can meet and decide. It is if you don't reach out, then I will do the pairing myself. But at four of us, I wanted to make connection. Does that make sense? That's exactly how I want it to be different from other section where the instructor or peer student randomly. So what I'm gonna do, I'll give myself. Go ahead. Exactly. You choose a pair by yourself. So what I'm gonna do, I will put a message across. I'll share announcement section, and I'm gonna put a deadline for Sunday for maybe yeah, Saturday 11:59 p.m. for you to decide on somebody you want to pair with. And if I don't receive your response by that time, then I will do the pairing myself automatically. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, today, I think I have like two, uh, documents to share. The first one, I want us to have a reflection on this particular material. This particular material came up during the consulting meeting on Wednesday, and I want us to discuss about it before I go into the statistical consulting document. So, of course, the TA was actually acted as the owner of this particular analysis, and it goes this way. Okay, um, your role, you're a consultant, you are a statistician. Okay, now who are you? You are a consultant at the maybe you're UMN Statistical Consulting Center. Okay, you as a consultant there, you receive this message. It's an email. Okay, the person introduced his or herself. Said I'm a PhD student from sociology department. I'm working with my advisor to investigate whether the male and female faculty members are being paid the same. I've completed some data analysis using Excel. Okay, but my advisor wants you to review the result and let us know if I'm analyzing it correctly. We have several questions to ask as well. Are you able to meet this week? But I just want us to discuss. I want us to have a kind of reflection based on this result. You know, the only thing I can see in this result is like they've already chosen a method they believe that will work, but they just want to see whether they are doing it correctly. You were not initially involved, with this project. You were not there when they were collecting data. But the only thing that we are seeing right now is just the results of analysis conducted using Excel. Now, merely looking at this result is actually generate a lot of questions. But what I'm going to say is what they need to do to improve on this particular result. Number one, if you look at the sample size is not sufficiently large enough to warrant the use of a t-test. Because in statistical analysis, okay, in statistical analysis, uh, you know, all the method that we use rely on some assumptions. Assumptions are what make model or technique to be great. If assumptions are violated, there's going to be an issue. So the sample size is 22 for male, for female. The two are not sufficiently large enough to warrant the use of a parametric procedure because t-tests, ANOVA tests, and so on, they are classified under parametric tests. So, and the parametric test requires assumptions, certain assumptions. That is number one. Now, number two is I can see here that the basis t-test on two sample assuming unequal variances. Okay. Now I really want to know why do they actually uh assume unequal variances? Okay. Do they conduct a test? Oh yes, in statistics we have a test on, if I'm comparing two population. One of the assumption is that the two population must have equal. If I want to, if I want to use a t-test, we have to check whether they have equal variances or not. We have an approach to use within the t-test framework, or if uh, you know there's no violation about equality of variances. If there's a violation, we also have a particular approach that we're going to use for that. So we have a test called Levini test. Okay, Levini test is actually a test on want to test on variances to see or if we're actually going to assume equal variances or not. Okay, does that make sense? Now, another thing that I'm seeing, I know the um the owner of this work may be celebrating because the one tail t-test come out significant at a 0.05. The two tail didn't come out significant at a 0.05, but I'm actually going to say this. P-value being significant or not does not actually translate into practical significance. There's a difference between statistical significance and practical significance. There is possibility that a p-value may not be significant, but it may be practically significant. Okay, so we don't just base decision on p-value because you could use inappropriate method and you still have your p-value significant. It's just like somebody who committed an offense in the state of Minnesota and the person ran to California. Okay, even though a court in California uh, entertained the case and they were able to, you know, confirm, they're able to, they took a right decision, by affirming that the person is guilty. But there is something that the state of California does not have. The state of California does not have what I call territorial jurisdiction to entertain the case in the first place, even though they took the right decision, you know, uh, confirming that he's guilty, but they don't have territorial jurisdiction, because of that, whatever decision they take will be declared non and void. So the same thing happen when you use inappropriate model. You use inappropriate model and you are just you realize that your p-value is significant and you start celebrating. Okay, when the premise of an argument is wrong, so the conclusion. Another thing that is wrong that one need to they can do to improve on this result is that you know they have to consider some other factors. You don't just compare. I want to believe they're comparing the mean salary of males and female faculty members, and I want to believe there could be some covariate that may be, you know, that may be influencing, the difference in salary. Okay, I want to believe you are putting into consideration maybe a factor like what is it called? Even though the gender is a primary variable of interest of comparison, but there could be some potential variables that may affect reason why there's a disparity in pay that I'm actually going to attribute to experience of a faculty member. Okay, the rank of a faculty member and the department the faculty member belong. So instead of using t-test, comparing just means, okay, it will be more statistical. This is going to have more statistical power if you consider model with covariance. And if at the end of the day, after you have controlled for the effect of other variables, okay, and you realize that gender has a significant effect on salary, then that has given you a strong evidence to conclude, that there's a disparity in pay. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, so there's a lot to talk about. So I've never seen whether they've investigated assumptions of normality because t-tests rely on assumptions of normality. So if they want to test assumptions of normality, they can actually conduct what I call Shapiro-Wilkie test of normality. Has anybody heard about Shapiro-Wilkie test of normality? They can also, if they want to go graphical, they can actually look at the histogram or density plots of both male and female to see whether they follow normal distribution. And the moment there's a violation of normality, then they should use a non-parametric procedure. A non-parametric procedure like my Whitney test and so on, like that. We don't, it's not as if, like I used to say, it's not as if our models are failing us, but, at times we don't do the right thing. Okay, so that's all what I have to say. There's a lot to say about this particular, work. Okay, I'm actually going to go into statistical consulting. I remember uh, on Monday, um, I think that was a technical issue. I was not able to project, and I did not actually record is. So I want to take it all over. And I also check the canvas of publish statistical consulting tool, that will come in form of a mock. But what I'm going to do is, since I don't want to be the one pairing you, okay, that consulting, more consulting, okay, I'll post it, depending on who you choose. If I wait until 11:59 p.m. on Saturday and I've not really seen your response, then I'm actually going to pair you automatically because it's an assignment, okay? And you and your partner need to play a role. And if you really want to understand, I just publish statistical consulting tool, a more consulting, there's a YouTube link that you're actually going to watch, and you see the way statistician and a client, the way to consult, because your assignment, you and your peer, you're actually going to play the role. Does that make sense? Just like the same way um Oliver, your TA, played the role during the joint consulting meeting, playing the role of a client. Okay, I want to welcome you to statistical consulting. Like I said, uh, you know, we want to walk you through what is statistical consulting, and then of course, how do we use the power process, the gathering information, setting expectations. Okay, now let me tell you this. When I want to talk about statistical consulting, so what I actually mean, I'm actually referring to kind of professional service, okay, rendered by statistician or a consultant, okay. That professional service will guide the client on how to have a very good research design, how to use an appropriate statistical methodology, how to conduct an appropriate analysis, and how to make present interpretation, and not only that, generating reports and explaining what the analysis, to the client using a language the client will understand. Now, the clients that we're talking about, uh, it could be a client from business, it could be from healthcare, it could be from government, it could be from higher institution, and so on like that. They are actually seeking for what I call a data-driven, insight. Because that will guide them in taking a decision they are not going to regret. So, and that is the reason why there are going to be two parties involved. And that is why you and your peer, you're actually going to practice that. Okay, you and your peers will practice that. One is going to play the role of a client, and the other one is going to play the role of a consultant. Does that make sense? And what does a client has said, someone seeking expertise, they will be the one that will bring the problem. Why you, as an expert, is to provide solution. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, this is the way the algorithm is actually going to look like, where the client bring a problem and you as a consultant, you listen well, and what you're going to do is you need to first, translate the client problem into statistical problem. Why do you need to convert into statistical problem? Because you want to use statistical technique. Does that make sense? Because the technique must actually uh, commiserate with the approach that you actually want to use. So the moment you are able to convert that to statistical problem, okay, then what you're going to do is, okay, you analyze it, you get your results, and you get a solution, and at the end of the day you are expected to communicate this solution to the client. So which means you now want to find a way to make a statistical solution becoming a client solution. Does that make sense? You know, when we go to clinic, if maybe maybe we fall sick and we go to clinic, okay, I think what the medical expert is going to do after listening to you, they will convert the problem into medical solution. I mean, sorry, into medical problem. And the moment they are able to convert that into medical problem, then they will use a medical technique within, in the arsenal. Okay, then they will solve the problem medically. And by the time they solve the problem medically, they believe they've already solved the patient problem. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, talking about statisticians in the research cycle, okay, you know, at times when they came visiting, some of them they've not even started anything at all. Maybe what they actually the only thing they have in mind, they're just gonna tell you what they have in mind, maybe what they want to achieve. Different clients, they actually gonna be in different stage of it. There are some of them that have not even started at all, but they know what they want to do. But and there are some of them, they have reached an advanced stage. Probably maybe they get stuck, and that's why they came visiting. So for some of them who have not collected data at all, okay, because the way we collect data actually matter, okay, and that's why we determine the best way to collect data, okay, and how you determine the sample size, because you don't just we don't just take a sample size, we actually have a technique that will guide us. Then you work out a plan on how you randomize. Randomization is very, very important. You know, if you're dealing with experimental study, of course, you are expected to randomize experimental unit into, a group, maybe treatment group and the control group. Okay. So, three patient, if you watch uh, you can try and click on this link to be able to watch a YouTube video to have the understanding of three patient. That's maybe that's it may be a typical example of what we're talking about. And after you have guided them, let me tell you this: when you are collecting data, we have a good way. When you are collecting data, you need to, for of us, understand the population of interest that we call the target population. And after that, you need to get a sampling frame. Let me tell you this. There's a difference between population of interest and a sampling frame. If I want to conduct research about maybe it's election period, and I'm curious to know how voters will vote in the next election, and I actually even maybe I want to conduct that in state of Minnesota. Okay, my target population is Minnesota. But my sampling frame is not everybody in Minnesota. My sampling frame will be registered voters in Minnesota. So the sampling frame is smaller than the population size. Does that make sense? And from the sampling frame, that is where I'm actually going to take my sample. Does that make sense? So we have good way. Now, when you want to talk about that is part of good way. So now in the sampling, if I want to take a sample, then you need to remember sampling techniques. Should I choose simple random sample? Or should I use approach of stratified sampling? Or should I go systematic? Or should I use cluster? Or should I use convenience? Or should I use volunteer sample? But I just wanted to know convenience and volunteer sample, they are probability sampling, they're actually going to induce bias. Okay, now you collect your data, you perform data analysis using appropriate statistical technique. And after that, okay, you review. It's always good to review, to double check if check for the correctness if necessary. Then you should be ready to interpret the analysis result. Okay. And if you are interpreting analysis result, I need you to put into consideration the level of the client. The client is not statistician like you. You have to put it in a way that they will understand. Everyone will understand. Then you suggest what the next steps is going to be. Okay? Any question on that? Okay, now there's something that should guide when you are when you are consulting. Okay, we actually abbreviate that as power, POWER. Okay, the P aspect of that is prepare. Okay, if you and your peer are actually going to do the mock consulting, okay, you have to follow power process. Prepare, okay, which means review the materials from the client, tidy up the room, prepare a flexible meeting plan. Okay, I want to believe maybe ahead of the meeting, the client must have sent you the document. So if I were you, why can't you read the material ahead of time? And of course, tidy up your room. You have to go professional. Does that make sense? Okay, now I'm going to go to that is the P aspect of that because so the next one is open. Okay, open O. Okay, now this is where the time conversation and wanted conversation is going to come in. You have to look at, you can't go forever explaining like the mock or consulting assignment I'm going to give out. Of course, you're going to make a video, and that video is you're going to submit where you act as a client, the other one acts as a consultant, and of course you are not going to go forever like talking forever, so there's going to be a kind of a time that you need to agree upon ahead of time. And that was why I said, does it work for you to meet for 1 hour? You need to know if we're being productive, for how long after 1 hour could you stay? Because there are some people when you are talking, they may get bored, like talking, talking, talking. They are not like me. Me, I like talking. I can talk and talk and talk forever. But some people don't really like talking, talking. They want to make it brave and they want it to be productive. Does that make sense? Okay. And always be open. Okay. Like here, I would like to talk about this. Is there anything else? Blah, blah, blah. That is the open aspect. Okay, there's going to be what I call you summarize the meeting, okay? And when you summarize the meeting, you outline the next steps, what the next step is going to be. Then you can even reflect, okay? Determine what went well and what didn't go well. Because I want to tell you that, uh, the doctors, most of the time, they have that experience. Trying to get information from patient is not easy at all. Okay, some patient may not even be in their right frame of mind, but the doctor will still, successfully get information because they need information to be able to treat the patient. You also need information to be able to guide the client well. So reflect on what you will do differently in the future. Let me tell you this. One of the, another reason why why I record, I apart from giving my students opportunity to watch recording, I also want to watch my recording myself. Like I want to see, is there something that I can improve upon? You get what I mean? So reflect on what you do, what you do differently in the future. We always want to have a way to improve on whatever the way we have handled situation. Now the W aspect. Okay. Don't forget, uh, you need to learn overall research goal. Okay. You need really want to know what the client need, because the client will be happy at the end of the day if you successfully, uh, achieve their objective. And that is why you need to be able to understand their goal and the objective. Okay. Now, which means before before I will understood something, I will first of us understand. And that was why I said seek first to understand, then to be understood. Okay. So, and I also I rephrase the client answer and then say, did I understand you correctly? It's just like the client says something and you repeat. You want the client to confirm whether that is it. Okay, the client may say yes, the client may say no. Then if the client said no, then it means the client need to repeat that. Okay, information is very, very important. Then you stay on track with time. Time is money. I remember what a philosopher said, and I quote, he said, when a second is wasted in somebody's life, he referred to that as an irreparable and a great loss. I can't get it back. So you have to make sure you stay on track with time. Then you have to explain jargons. Jargons like cook distance, outlier, some statistical vocabulary that, because if you don't explain statistical jargons, you're actually going to scare the clients. You're going to scare the client away. So if you mention probability sampling, you have to explain whatever you mention. You have to explain because the client is not in your in your feed. So like I said, if you don't know the answer to a question, tell the client that you look into it. You have to be honest. It's good to be honest. Nobody is an encyclopedia of knowledge. Okay? If you don't understand, oh, I'm going to look into it. There's no crime in that. Okay? So do not give the client an incorrect answer or fake your understanding. It's not good to fake understanding. Any answer that you believe that you are not sure of, don't give it out. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, gathering information. You know, a philosopher said, and I quote, questions are not answers create knowledge. I'm going to say that again. Questions are not answers create knowledge. If you ask more questions, okay, asking more questions is even better than providing answers. Because the more questions you ask, okay, the more you are likely going to understand and successfully solve the problem eventually. Okay, we need to ask good questions anyway, not just question. Okay, now you're going to start with big questions, then you now zoom that into smaller questions. And don't forget to adjust your question by building on the answers of the client. Okay, general question about if they have collected their data. I think you need to know how they collect the data. Let me tell you this. You know, in 1939 presidential election in the United States between Roosevelt, Democrat, the incumbent president at the time, and Laden, a Republican, you know, there was one polling organization called I think lateral digest. The lateral digest they have reputation. Before that election, they've predicted 10 out of 10 election correctly. But in that very election, something let them down. You know what let it down? And I'm going to tell you. Instead, even they choose a large sample size. The large sample size did not even solve the problem. I'm going to tell you what they did wrongly. Their sampling frame was very poor. In any research, sampling frame is very, very important. Now, the sampling frame, they only consider those who have telephone, who have their telephone registered in a, you know, it's not everybody that registered their telephone as at that time. And not only that, they use a country membership. It's not everybody that, and so the sampling frame they use was poor, even though they sent the questionnaire to 10 million people and they received 2.3 million responses. And at the end of the day, they predicted that the Republican was going to win the election. But, the incumbent president eventually won the election on a landslide. And you know what they get wrong? They have a poor design, sampling frame, despite the fact that they choose a large sample size. The large sample size does not solve the way you collect your data. Does that make sense? Because some people, it's okay, I can collect my data anyhow, but if I take a sufficiently large sample, I'm actually going to be fine. No way. Because if your sampling frame is not, your sampling frame does not reflect the distribution in the population, then whatever you're doing is an exercise in futility. Okay? How did you collect your data matters a lot. Then what is the motivation for the study? Okay, you don't conduct a study without you having motivation to do that. Okay, then clarify question: are you including graduate students in your population? For instance, maybe the person talk about undergraduate student and is talking about institution, educational institution, and you only talk about undergraduate. And we know that in that institution, we also have the graduate student. So we can you can actually say that. Then for how many days did you record your data? That matters too. Okay, so when you are gathering information, you need to understand the answers. Okay, the answers provided. Okay, the consultant now. So you mentioned that the patient received the treatment twice a day over a period of a month. Maybe what they are trying to do here is maybe they want to determine the efficacy of a particular drug. Okay. Now, and the consultant said, did I understand you correctly? There's no crime in that. Okay. You actually want a confirmation of your perception. Does that make sense? And the client said yes. If the client said yes, that's a confirmation for you. Does that make sense? That's a confirmation for you. And the clerk said yes. And the clerk now further said, well, it is not necessarily a month. It is 30 days exactly. Okay. Now it just corrected something and gave more clarification. Now the client, so the client asked further. Okay. The client said, actually, the patient received the treatment 3 times a day. Okay, so you want them to give more information. The client are the ones saying this. Okay, so the more you ask, the more the more the response you're actually gonna get. Now, before before the mock consulting assignment that I said I'm actually gonna release shortly, the one I released today was a mistake. And I think I've already removed that, and I'm going to put, when I'm done now, I'm actually going to put an announcement where I will advise that you choose a peer. Okay, and I'm going to put a deadline for Saturday 11:59 p.m. And the moment I don't see your response, I'm actually going to peer you automatically. Does that make sense? With someone automatically. Now, uh if you take a look at this meeting, Brian Johnson is the head of the quality control at the medical center, and he came to, Dr. There for help. Okay, this was their first meeting, they made it for the first time. Okay, look at them. Now the question is, what did the consultant do well, and what need improvement? Let me tell you something. No matter how we conduct ourselves, in any situation, there's always room for improvement. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, consultant need to, okay, so all this one is just like, okay, what are the possible uh things that consultant need to improve upon? And we're just saying this on average, like, you know what I mean? Okay, what are you working on? Okay, because what are you working on? So, what are the objective of your study here? And so, what is your target population? Okay, let's say consultant has this question, these three questions. Okay, consultant has this, that. Okay, and based on these three questions that consultants ask the client, okay, what do you think it should improve upon? Okay, you know, number one, what are you working on? There's no any statistical jargons in what you're working on. That is clear. Does that make sense? But number two, so what are the objective of your study here? Very clear. There's no any statistical jargons. But I can see in number three, there's a statistical jargons. What is your target population? It is not everybody that understand the meaning of a target population. Does that make sense? And that was why consultant need to explain whenever your statement involve statistical jargon or statistical vocabulary, you need to explain it. Does that make sense? And so what is your target population? Okay. So you need to explain that. Or the consultant asks, are you able to get random probability sample? To me, that is ambiguous. What does it mean? That's a jargon. You need to be able to like ask it in a way. So it's not as if you can't use statistical jargon, but make sure you explain the jargon. Does that make sense? Okay. And aside all of that, consultant need to respect the client inputs. Because let me tell you, the client is not as if is a complete novice of that. No. Okay. Maybe they get stuck and is trying to seek you know, an expert contribution. Okay. So, and what you also need to identify, what did the consultant do well and what he need improvement upon. Now, how many minutes do we have? 9 more minutes. I want us to watch a video. Okay. I want us to watch a video. Okay. Now between uh the video is on YouTube, and the question is, how effective do you think the statistician was at getting the researcher to share the information needed to understand the research and develop a plan? That is after watching this video. Okay, I'm gonna play the video right now. And we're gonna watch. Let me see. Okay, let's watch the video. As I'm in the midst of applying. Oh, it's not this guy. Wait, not you. Okay, got our video now. So listen, just let's watch. Okay, I think I want to say something there before I move on. Okay, so it's like this guy is very curious about, I want to get the p-value. It's like he understands some statistical jargons, but the consultant is trying to say, I need enough information, to be able to help you. You get what I mean? So you need enough information. Okay, that's what I just wanted to hear about. Let's continue. Can't do that without a clear understanding of your work. Okay? Okay. Uh, Give me one second. Um,
Be a marketer. Crystal seems perfect. I currently have 5 different positions I've been looking for. She can fill 2 of them. Today on Upwork, I didn't just find a digital marketing freelancer.
okay. Now, as you can see, the client was I think he was only worried about the analysis, but not knowing that if you don't care about the way you get your data, you only care about analysis. It's like you are building a beautiful uh building. You put a beautiful building on, let me just say, on a particular land that is not maybe uh that will not be able to support the building. So that's exactly what I mean. But the building is beautiful, but the land, okay, does not even commiserate with that building. And that is the reason, even if you apply any beautiful statistical analysis, it's not going to solve the problem. It's going to nowhere. So the most important thing is to listen to the client to understand the way they collect their data. The method of data collection, the sampling technique, the sampling frame actually play a very huge role, okay, in getting a result that will be valid, that will be consistent, and that will be generalizable. Does that make sense to everyone? So this is where I'm going to stop. Like I said, um, you need to choose an individual, and when you are done with choosing, just email me. Okay, one person can email me on behalf of the two individuals. When you email me, then I will be the one that will put it in a spreadsheet that I'm actually going to share. But like I said before, I think when I in the next 5 minutes, I'm gonna put announcements on Canvas that you need to get somebody you're gonna peer with, in the more consulting assignment, and you have 11:59 until 11:59 p.m. on Saturday to get back to me. If you didn't get back to me, then I will automatically assign you to somebody. Does that make sense? Okay, and I will release the assignment on Sunday. Okay, then I release initially releasing as the assignment today. The deadline is supposed to be 12. Like I want like 5 days, 6 days. I'm still gonna maintain that. Okay. Okay. Sure, you all stay safe. Have a lovely weekend. Bye for now, everyone.